BlogHer. So nice to see you all here. This is beautiful. Welcome. Welcome to you, Kate.
Hi, guys.
That was a great intro. Thank you, Deb. So we'll have a seat here. So Deb, you kind of referred to who Kate is and what Kate does, but just in case, let me just reiterate for those who may not know. The ultimate skin health care expert, transformational skincare. And I think if you're from LA, which I think most of you are, you probably know the name Kate Somerville. If you use beauty products, you probably know the name Kate Somerville. But you're also an author, you're a mother, you're a wife, you've done many, many things, and you've grown your brand into a real global brand. So I think there's so many reasons, so many applications for that in this room as I look out into this room of people who are doing amazing things. And you created this brand from scratch.
Yeah, I did.
And so I want to start by talking about, your path to get there was not an easy one.
No.
So tell me a little bit about your journey from Fresno to Hollywood.
Oh my gosh. Fresno. Oh, yeah.
Fresno.
They grow some good girls there, don't they? And pretty ones, right? And people don't know that. Fresno and Clovis has really pretty girls. So I grew up, this is a crazy story. So this is why I know every single one of you can do whatever you want to do, because literally the odds were so stacked against me. So I grew up in a tiny little town. My dad was a football coach. My mom was a teacher. And I grew up on a little farm outside of Fresno. And unfortunately, my mom became a really bad alcoholic. So she was half American Indian. And with American Indian, they can't process alcohol. And so she became homeless. And my dad raised me, and he remarried at 15. I was 9 when he remarried, and my stepmom was not really fond of me at that time. And we get along now, so there's hope. And I literally left home at 15. And I had such a tumultuous upbringing, and literally lived from friend to friend. And luckily, I had a really great boyfriend through high school and 2 years of college. And I just kind of found my way. But I have to tell you, I was really searching. I was kind of always in chaos. And I had this one woman, her name was Barbara Wells. And
that was your boyfriend's mom?
Yeah, it was my ex-husband's mom. I married him for her. Although he's a really good-looking guy. Don't get me wrong. But, fire and gas was not good. But she had cancer for 12 years, and she was just one of these, incredible mentor. She took me into her home because I didn't have a place to live. And she watched me, and she said, you have a choice. And your choice is this. You can either make your life amazing, or you can go down and be the victim of what your parents did to you. And honest to God, at that moment, I looked at her and I was like, what do you mean I have a choice? And she's like, you have a choice to either go into the light or go on to this crazy path that you're headed down. And I was like, oh, if I have a choice, I'm going to make my life great. And I swear, at that moment, I changed my life. I lived in Fresno. I wanted to get out. And I literally packed my little bug. And I packed it. Her name was Tootaroo. It was T-E-R-O-O. And I packed all my things, and I moved to a little town called Cambria in the middle of California, and I got 3 jobs waitressing, and I found this cute little beach cottage, and from that moment on, my life changed for the best. And so then and this is a long story, but I just want you guys to know, this has not been easy. And so then I I met this dermatologist, and she was a woman dermatologist, and she's like, you know what, Kate, you should start doing skincare in a doctor's office. And I was like, oh, I love that idea, because I can go back to aesthetic school, which unfortunately is not that great of school in the United States, but I put a business plan together because I was always an entrepreneur. And my best friend was getting her, she was getting her master's in business. And so she took my idea of going into a doctor's office and creating a business as her thesis. And now it's Kate Somerville, the business.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And honestly, I think the skincare part, though, I grew up with eczema. Does
Same.
anyone know what eczema is?
I have it.
Okay. It's debilitating. It's like I was a kid, I was an athlete. It was burny and itchy, and I just knew what it was like to feel uncomfortable in my own skin. And so when I was younger, when we lived on a farm, she put goat's milk in my bath once. And I saw my skin change from something that was natural and yummy. And so I feel like that kind of led me down the path too, like taking that negative and turning it into a positive.
And also you turned it into a product, which I use every day.
It was
which
my
is the goat
first
milk
product that I
cleanser.
came out with, actually.
You should all try it, regardless of whether you have eczema. It is just the best,
Yeah.
soft,
Yeah.
really great for sensitive skin.
Yeah.
So women are increasingly an unstoppable force in business, but there are still incredible challenges, and one of them in particular is around securing investments.
Yeah.
And I know that's something that you've spoken about
Yeah.
a lot. Is there something that, besides just kind of telling us your feelings on that, is there something specific that you wish someone like you had told you when
Oh
you
my
were starting out?
Yes. Well, first off, like looking hindsight, because I kind of beat myself up because I feel like I had to sell my soul to get the business to where it is. And there's a lot of sharks out there. And they're going to look at you if you have a brand, and they're going to go, oh, I can capitalize on you. And you just have to be really careful who you get in partnership with. Okay, that's the first thing. Do your due diligence. So what I did, I partnered with somebody that had a success before me, but I didn't look into his background or what people liked or disliked about him. And so I had a really bad struggle with my venture capital firm at first. And I can just tell you this, only 2% of women are getting funded in business. Okay, I want that to soak into you. That means a man can sit there next to you and go in without a plan, without everything detail worked out, and 98% chance he's going to get funded over you. Even though, because I know you're women, we take care of our business. We have kids to feed. We have houses to put over our head. We're really responsible people, and our businesses are fairly, almost more successful than once we get our hands on it. So 2% of women are getting funded in the United States. So what I've been going around and telling people is, if you have success and you're a woman, look to women to invest in. So that's
to raise each other up.
Yeah, to raise each other up.
Woo!
And consciously do it. You know, if you're going out to look for money, my advice to you is get a man next to your side for a minute.
They can be useful sometimes, is what you're saying.
My husband's a musician, so he's great for me in other respects, but on the money front, you know, just really arm up with a good lawyer, with a good attorney, and until we start to really see the shift, you're just going to have to be scrappy. The other thing, like Jane Warwind of Dermalogica, her business was very successful because she had this great way. She was able to sell her products and get the money ahead of time, or while she shipped it in, and where I started my business at QVC and retailers, and we ship it in. We don't get paid for 6 months. So I had to have cash flow constantly. And when I first started my business, I had this massive success. I got this incredible publicist, and we had a lot of celebrities. And back then, it was like Us Weekly and People magazine. So I had a lot of success really early. And so what I can tell you is real big success with having to build products and carry that load, you have to know how to manage a cash flow. So if you don't know how to do that, go on the internet, go to a class, learn about money and how, because growing fast is a good thing, but not too fast.
And it's interesting how now you can be, for example, in skincare, and you also need to know all these other things in order to be successful in business. And it's important to take that into your own hands so that you're not reliant always on outside people.
And retailers too. So QVC, we were on consignment.
Yeah, QVC had a crazy
so
goal, right?
You're on consignment. So we would have huge success. Like one day we did $5.8 million in one day.
Wow.
But I had to build the inventory for that day. And the other thing with QVC is if you didn't sell out, it came back to you. So there was a lot of pressure. So if you can find a business model that doesn't have a lot of overhead, that you can get paid, and okay, this shipment is paid for. So that's where Dermalogica, I think that their success and part of their success, I think was, really relying on women like us that had businesses, and she built this incredible business. So, that would be my advice to you.
So let's talk a little bit about authenticity. This is, I think, my 7th or 8th time at BlogHer, and every time we see these really powerful, successful, impressive women getting up here on stage and talking about be authentic, be authentic, be authentic.
Yeah.
So great, authenticity is a great thing, but as your business grows, it can be harder and harder to maintain that authenticity and the demands of running a business or a global corporation.
That's hard.
And so one of my questions for you is how do you, and you have done that, you have remained authentic to that mission that you had, but how do you maintain that authenticity to your vision?
I can't be anybody else. Like, I am the farm girl that grew up the way I grew up. I will always have compassion for who's in front of me at that moment. I will never be bigger than anybody else. And I have a mission, though, and I'm going to get to that mission, so try not to stand in my way. But on the other hand, you need to learn that if it doesn't feel right, I remember I had a lot of people in my business, and they were like, you need to wear this, and you need to be this, and I started conforming to that. And
the kind of lab coat, kind of specific.
Well, I call her back to Bob. It's like the hair was perfect, and the clothes were tight and uncomfortable, and the Spanx were really uncomfortable. And here I grew up
still
like
uncomfortable.
A farm girl. I know. And for me, I started not feeling like me. And then it started feeling ugly, and then I got burned out. And then when I decided I'm going to be me. I'm not going to listen to these people, because if I'm not authentic, people can see right through it, right? So just really say, okay, does this feel right for me? And don't be afraid. There's so many amazing people in the world. Okay, this is going to be a weird one. So my son, he's 17, so he turned on Eminem. And I was listening to Shady, that song Shady. And in his song, he's like, I probably shouldn't repeat what he said.
I think you can.
But
we're among friends
he's
here.
He basically said, I don't give a fuck about what you think of me, And he really didn't. That guy, he really didn't. And he is the greatest rapper of all time, in my opinion. I mean, technically, what he can do. And even Jay-Z said that. So if Jay-Z said it.
Then it's true.
But he really was himself the whole way, damaged or not, right? So I'm a little damaged, but I just let people know, yeah, I'm real, and I'm a little damaged that way. And some people are going to relate to me, and some people aren't. But those people that aren't afraid to be themselves seem to do much better than those that conform. Does that make sense?
It does. And I think also there's a sort of fear of, well, what if I miss this opportunity? But diluting your brand long term has much more dire consequences, I think, than, passing on one thing just to make sure that you're maintaining that authenticity. So in addition to authenticity, another thing that we hear a lot about lately is imposter syndrome or self-doubt and the sense that, especially from really powerful, successful women, the feeling that they sort of don't deserve their success. Do you ever feel that sense of self-doubt?
Every minute of every day.
And how do you cope with it?
Every day. Like, you're going to have those feelings. So here's how I tell you. Let that drive you. You know what I mean? Like, I always tell my son, because right now marijuana is so big in the state right now, and especially where we live.
Now that it's legal here.
Yeah. And so I have a 17-year-old, and I'm like, and literally our town smells like marijuana. Like, I'm serious. You drive through and you're like, skunk. And so I've had to really talk him through this. Like, okay, marijuana is great for some situations. Like, great for sick people, great, here and there, right? But if you do marijuana every day, you're going to become complacent, in my opinion. Okay? Yeah. And you're going to become comfortable with status quo. If you put your hand in a fire, you jump back, right? You learned that lesson early. So fear and doubt makes you move, right? Think about it. It's an energy to say, this doesn't feel right. I got to get out of this. And so I've been telling him, like, if you do this every day, I don't think you're going to have that motivation, because those uncomfortable feelings are just feelings. But feel the feeling and go, maybe I'm supposed to move, right? Does that make sense to you guys? Use it. Like, okay, I bring up QVC because this was my biggest challenge, because I'm an esthetician. I'm like one-on-one with my clients, and I transform skin. But at one point, I had to be in front of a camera and be like, I call her Back to You, Bob, because it's like a newscaster, like back to you, Bob. And it felt really unauthentic for me, because it was like about the number, and you had to sell this many per unit, and you had to not say this and say that. So going there for me it felt yucky. It just did. And so once I realized, like, that energy made me feel uncomfortable. And my father-in-law was a really, really famous musician back in the 50s. His name was Diamond Dave, and he was the lead singer of the Diamonds. And he was like, I was like, God, I'm so uncomfortable before I go on QVC. And he's like, that's just energy. That's it. That's all it is. It's nervous energy. Use that energy to, like, feed what you're saying. And he gave me tools, and he said, do 10 push-ups before you go on air and get your blood moving. Get that energy moving. It's energy. Use it. And then what I decided to do was I decided that the camera was my client. And then the yucky feeling started going away for me. And you guys are doing a lot of this, right? Because you guys are, I don't like the word influence. You guys are authorities, right? Yeah, let's change that word.
Yeah.
Influencer to authority.
There's something icky.
I don't know. Influencer means, like, to me, like, but you are influencing people, and I don't know. Anyways, I just like the other word of, like, you're an authority in some space, right? So use that camera as her or him, and picture who that is, and then I think it won't feel like such a job. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like almost everything that you've said here today and everything I've seen you say, and I've gotten to see you a couple of times lately, it all
And
kind of
more.
feels like a pull quote. But if you had to sort of summarize into like one main takeaway for this audience about building a brand and building a business, what would that headline sort of be?
Oh, just go. Just go.
That's a pretty easy one.
Just go. It's so funny because my favorite movie in the whole world is Nemo. And the writing is
Eminem and Nemo, got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know. I'm a mom, so Nemo. If you really listen to the writing, it's so genius. Like the seagulls, mine, because they're always looking for food. Anyways, but the one thing that that Ellen says, the little fish, Dory, is she's like, she is who needs to be by my side, and that person is my husband, honestly, is Dory. Not that he forgets things, but he's like, just, and I am
really going deep with this metaphor.
I am so the dad fish, like worried, oh my gosh, and he's always like, just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. So when I get like worried, I'm like, okay, just do the one task in front of me. Like when I started Kate Somerville, we had zero money, zero. And I had a 2-year-old at the time, I think. I think he was about 2. And me and my husband were both building our 3 little rooms out at Kate Somerville on Melrose Place, which I invite every one of you there, by the way, because it's stunning and gorgeous, and the girls there are angels.
And I'm going on Monday,
Yes,
so
she's
I'm pretty
going on
excited.
Monday. But I remember going, what the hell am I doing? I don't know how to do this. I can't do this. And then I just said to myself, shut up and just keep painting this wall. And then go to the next task. So the one thing I would say to you is don't look at the big, huge picture, because you'll get overwhelmed and you'll get paralyzed with fear, right? Get that piece of paper out. Make a list of what's next. Oh, I need to call this person. I need to, whatever it is, the little tiny details, because those little details matter to a bigger picture. And if you keep doing those little details, it's going to equal to something big if that's what you want.
So take small steps to make your leaps and bounds.
And just keep going. Don't listen to the naysayers. Like, when they say, you can't do that, go look at them and go, oh, yes, I love you for saying that. I'm going to do it now even better. Because success is your biggest revenge. And I've had a lot of people be naysayers and in my life. Even my dad was like, you can't hire a doctor. And I'm like, watch me. You can't hire a nurse. You can't do this. You can't do that. And I'm like, I can. And so I just tell you, just keep going. Just keep going at whatever it is, and let those doors open for you and envision it. Yeah, those are the things I could tell you.
That's really wonderful.
Keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
So do we have time, I'm looking over here at you guys, for a quick Q&A? We have 5 minutes if we have any questions from the audience.
I love that.
And
if you have skincare questions, because this was a whole nother thing, but if you have skincare questions, happy to talk to you.
Right, we're talking business here, but you do have the premier skincare expert in the world sitting here on stage. So
I always forget to talk about skin, which is so crazy. Any questions?
Oh, here we go.
Oh, we got one.
Hi.
Hi.
So you mentioned in the early days you didn't have any money.
0.
But somehow you made it. So back then, how did you get the financing that you needed?
Friends, family, clients. So I was brave enough. I had really good clients, like a handful of really good clients. And, in a treatment room, you really get to know people. And one of my clients had said to me, if you ever need anything, because I see you're a go-getter, call me when you want to do something. And I picked up the phone and I called them and I said, hey, I need to buy this laser. It was $100,000, okay? And I knew that laser was going to change my life, and it did. And so I got 3 clients, and I said, I need $25,000 from each of you, and here's my payment schedule to you. That's the other thing. You can't go in and say, hey, I need $25,000.
You can try, but it might not work.
You can try, but also have a plan. Because if you ask for $25,000 and you blow it and you don't know how you're going to get it back, you don't have a plan. You have to put your plan on paper. Because every time I put a number down on paper and I then fill in the rest of how I'm going to get there, I get there. So for me, I was like, okay, I can do 5 people at $800, for a package, and this is how I'm going to do it. And I showed them that plan, and I said, I'm going to do this, and I paid them off early. So I just kept paying these people off as I needed to, and then it got bigger, much bigger. So, I also thought I needed these people. This is the other thing. Okay, we're women, right? And this is something I am battling now, even now. No one's going to save you. Okay? This is big. No one is going to save you. You can save yourself. So don't look outside yourself to be saved. Okay? And I am working on this for me as well. And I think, too, my background, like, save me. But when it comes down to it, like, nobody saved me. My family didn't save me. Obviously my son and my husband mean the world to me. But you are going to save yourself. Okay, we're women, so we kind of want that savior, or some of you do. Some of you don't. You're just badass. Which I have part of badass in me. But I also have this, like, dame in distress thing, and I'm like, ooh, there's that girl. I'm not doing that in business. And it's okay to be emotional in business, too. Like,
I'm going to start crying probably in like 3 more minutes if we keep talking
those
about
of you
this.
that hear, like, don't cry in business, it is really never really good to, like, fully cry. But I have to tell you, I can't help it. I'm emotional, and yes, people can see it as weakness, but we also have a lot of compassion, so don't beat yourself up for having that either, right?
Yeah, that's really, really, really wonderful
Does
advice.
that help?
We have time for one more.
Yeah.
One more. We have one in the back. We have
All right, girls in the back got to get some love. I need my exercise.
You could just yell, too. We'll hear you.
That's women helping women.
Hi, it's so awesome to see you, Kate. I'm also an esthetician, so I really think that's great, and I love your skincare. My question is, when you first started working on your skincare line, did you start formulating things in the kitchen and then progressed that way, or
No.
did you hire someone? You did.
Yeah. So for me, because I come from a medical side of skincare. So I was in a doctor's office, so we were prescribing Retin-A and all kinds of, pharmaceuticals. And then I had a bunch of lines. I had like maybe 10 or 12 different lines that did certain things. And I would always be in the treatment room, and I'm like, God, I wish this had this, because these are my tools, right? This is how I get to transformation. And so 3 years into my career, lasers came on the scene. And lasers back then were like ablative, meaning that your skin was a 3rd-degree burn.
Yeah, you had like a 3-week or more downtime.
Oh, no, 3 months.
3
back
months.
Then. And so my clients started not being able to tolerate anything because we just blasted their face off, basically. And so it drove me to go find a compound pharmacist to calm things down for these women. And so then I started going like, well, can you make this a little better for me? And that's how I did it. And then I found, and this is a funny story, so one and only chemist now at Kate Somerville. I found him when we were both young. But you know what kind of chemist he was when I found him? He manufactured lube.
Huh.
Think about it. If you can do lube, you can do skincare. Because
if you can use it
sensitive.
there, then you can definitely use it here.
And you know what? I swear to you, it is why every one of my products is so genius, is because he's got my expertise in the clinic and my girls' expertise, and then he can formulate. So.
Well, now that we know the secret, that's great to know. I think that's a great ending point. Kate, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was beautiful.